time to game classy.
Country roads take me home to the place I belong. Steve is muted. He's not talking, but he's on this recorded podcast.
Oh man, I was fucking singing and everything.
No, you were muted, sir.
I was still singing, it just wasn't recorded.
Yes. That's the thing.
Man, I
So
was fucking jamming.
That's what you get. Not paying attention, sir. Not
paying No, it's the Zoom mobile app is really weird. It auto mutes, and then it didn't tell me I was muted. So once you said I was muted, then I had to bring up the little menu, and then the menu's like, yeah, by the way, you're muted.
Yeah.
Damn it. But
also,
it did say
you need to back up off the microphone, man. You are on top of it right now.
How about now?
It's a little better.
I'm still using that. I'm still using that headset, but sometimes there's like a drift, so it gets real close to my face hole.
Like a Tokyo drift?
Yes. Like a Tokyo drift.
Yes.
Is this some sort of gay thing? No. Are you sure? Yes. I fucking love the Clerks animated series.
It's funny to me still, but it does not hold up in this day and age. Let me just tell you.
But it's also, it's old as fuck if you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's almost 25 years old at this point. 20 years old at this point.
Yeah, it's fucking old.
Yeah. We old. I have a friend who's like
it's just like the original Clerks doesn't really hold up either.
I think but there's a difference though. Clerks was like a product of its time. Clerks cartoon was a little ahead of its time.
True.
So there's a little bit of that going on right there, because if the Clerks cartoon had come out in like the late 2000s, let's say like post 2005, it would be huge. But it probably would have ran for 20 seasons.
It absolutely would have been an Adult Swim banger.
Yeah, exactly. But because it came out in like 2000,
just like Mission Hill. It's exactly like Mission Hill. Mission Hill would have been an Adult Swim banger, no question.
Isn't Mission Hill on Adult Swim?
Mission Hill was actually on the CW.
That's probably the reason, yeah.
That's when Mission Hill launched. It was on the CW, and it was like Mission Hill was crazy ahead of its time. And then they did pick it up and aired it on Adult Swim, which it was popular, but it was far beyond. It wasn't like a Family Guy situation where there was like, hey, this show that was pretty much recently canceled is getting fucking insane ratings. Let's get more episodes made. Yeah. Mission Hill was the gap was huge. Mission Hill had ton. I'm such a fucking Mission Hill nerd.
Yes,
I know a bunch of random things about Mission Hill, but Mission Hill, there were two things that Mission Hill did completely pioneered that no other show has done. One, Mission Hill was the first primetime gay kiss. Believe it or not, that was like literally the first television show that aired during prime time that showed a gay kiss. And two, which is hilarious, the fucking gay couple in that show is amazing. They're so good. But the voiced by Tom Kenny and I can't remember the other voice actor's name, but he kind of sounds like Ernest Borgnine, but it's 100% not Ernest Borgnine. It's like he's like a guy doing like an old timey New York tough impression. He's like, yeah, I was over there in the war, and so yeah, he's really good. But the second, and this what I thought was super interesting, is Mission Hill is a very colorful show. They do tons of like crazy pastel colors, bright colors, just like absolutely kind of neonish. And I learned that the Mission Hill showrunners learned there's actually a legal limit to the amount of colors you can use in a television program.
I knew that. Yeah.
I did not know that because when they brought some of their episodes to whatever the like authority is, who's just like, yep, this can go on the air, and they're like, you have to change some of these colors. There's too many colors. I had no idea that was a thing.
So I was interested when you said like the first gay kiss on television, on primetime TV, I should say, because I'm sure we could talk about Skinamax all we want.
Yes. Yeah. As far as I know, it was the only one that was done in primetime network television.
Well, it says that back in 1991, LA Law had and that's considered primetime television, with CJ and Abby sharing a kiss on screen. Picket Fences had a teenage lesbian romance in 93, 94. I remember this one. Roseanne kissed Mariel Hemingway on TV, which was probably very weird for Mariel Hemingway. Relativity in 1997 had an open mouth kiss between two women. And in 2000 on Dawson's Creek, with two men passionately kissing on television. So
damn.
So I get it. It was probably the first gay kiss in a cartoon on TV for sure.
That might be it. That might have been the thing. But still, I mean, also that's interesting that it took how many years before it was two dudes?
Let me
10
see.
years.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was mostly women. Like as we all know that people could pass lesbian kissing on, but it's when you got two guys kissing, it's
that's where it's a problem.
Yeah. That's where it becomes a problem. It's like ridiculous. But besides that, let's move on for a moment. Welcome to Game.
By the way, watch Mission Hill. It's pretty good.
If you're an elder millennial, you'll do well with it.
Yes, I think that is a very good. I think that is a very good caveat.
Younger millennials are like, this isn't SpongeBob. I'm a dumb younger millennial. I eat rocks. I play 40K.
Where's Mac tonight?
Where's Mac tonight? So anywho, welcome to Game Classy. I'm your host, Joe, and with you is always my co-host, Steve.
Also known as the Hamburglar.
I think you're more the Grimace than the Hamburglar.
Well, nothing can kill the Grimace. So
nothing can kill the Grimace. Going back to the Clerks cartoon. So we do have big news in the world of gaming. I know we often poo-poo talking about gaming and the gaming news, but Dungeons and Dragons.
Gaming? That's what's for nerds.
Yeah. Steve and I, in our last conversation about will D&D move on to a new edition. I don't remember if we actually even talked about that on the podcast.
I don't think we did.
It might have. So to catch people up, Steve and I have had this running kind of texting argument about when will Dungeons and Dragons move on to 6th edition? I think we did talk about this on the podcast. Something about this is ringing a bell, but we were talking about how most Dungeons and Dragons editions do not last 10 years. They last about between I think on average 6 to 8 years.
And I think that's being generous.
Yes, with the longest running being 3rd, which I think if you count 3.5 ran for about 8 years. So Dungeons and Dragons 5th, we said it was on its 5th or 6th year at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, it's coming up on a new edition very soon. And they just announced, Steve knew about this on the last cast that we were talking about. He had to bite his tongue because he didn't want to get in trouble. But Dungeons and Dragons is moving to a 6.5 edition. So
a 5.5.
A 5.5 edition, sorry.
Yes.
We were we did talk about that, and we were technically, and this is one of the times when we can actually say it, we were both right in that situation. Because they're not technically moving to a new edition, but they are moving to a new edition. Whenever I hear the 0.5 edition, I just think that's companies freaking out too much. We can't say it's a new edition because that will kill sales. So we have to say
absolutely. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, this is just 6.5. We're gonna reprint all of the books, but
it's absolutely true. Although there is an actual logistical reason to call it that as well, simply because it's it's a quick thing. If you call it, and this is the same thing, it is back to sales, but it's also if you call it 6. Then people will be like, oh, well, I can't use my books anymore, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you call it 6.5, you could be like, no, there's going to be some new books you need, but you will be able to use the books you have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I could technically still use my 2 ebooks with 5th edition.
That would be pretty hard with that.
It's a stretch, but I could totally run everyone. I could run every one of those campaigns, and I could just switch out the stats.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to go through all that trouble, you should just run 2nd edition because it's a better edition.
Well, that's yes. I mean, okay, if we cut it down that way, yes, you are absolutely 100% right.
Just run the better edition. Yeah. 2nd is way better. I actually was thinking about this because I was looking at Fate because I'm looking at running a Fate game. I'm looking at Fate Condensed, and I was just reading how Fate operates and how the game works and stuff. And I was thinking about D&D because I'm oft to do, and I realized that like, and I talked to Angel Baker about this too, but like how people have these like elaborate like 6-chapter backstories for these level 1 characters, which is basically like giving your character the background, like it's like giving your character Captain America's current Marvel backstory as a level 1 character. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why do you have such a gigantic backstory? Your character's level 1. He's new. If your background is Captain America, and you want to play Captain America, you don't have Captain America's background. You're level 1. So that would mean you like literally just became Captain America. You're still Steve Rogers. You just came out of the fucking chamber. Now you're all jacked. Now you're ready to be a superhero. That's a level 1 character. A level 1 character's background. Right. A level 1 character's background is I was a fucking nerdy dweeb. I wanted to enlist to fucking fight the Nazis. They gave me this weird super serum. Now I've got a crazy shield and I'm ready to fucking punch Hitler. That's a level 1 character's background. There's a backstory there. You have a fleshed out individual, but you don't have there's people who like submit level 1 characters who are just like, I've been on this adventure and that adventure. And I'm just like, bro, you need to write a book. What you've handed me. You've handed me a book character. We're playing a role-playing game. This character is not sufficient. You've not done a good job.
You have not done a good job, sir.
But the reason I think that like there's been a shift to that is there's multiple reasons. One, obviously, everyone wants their cool ass character to be cool or whatever. But I think that there's it's the combination of like the podcast effect.
Yes.
Where the characters are written as characters and they'll never die because they're written as characters, because those shows are for entertainment, not for they're not actually a game. Like, they're there to entertain you while they're pantomiming playing a game. They're not actually playing a game. They
are as we've said before, like Critical Role, those are paid actors or I should say card carrying actors. I don't think they're probably paid for this point for Critical Role, but they are paid.
Critical Role makes an absolutely fucking absurd amount of money on Twitch. Absolutely fucking absolutely fucking absurd.
Yeah, so they are paid voice actors, professional voice actors, professional actors who have training, working with a script that is written for the game.
Yes.
I do not really consider it improv comedy because they probably have like some ideas of how it's going to go. There probably is a level of improv to it, but like everything is like professionally done and professionally written. Continue.
Yes, absolutely. So because of that being the du jour for RPGs, people have this like false understanding of how games operate and work. And so they create these, elaborate backstories for these brand new characters, blah, 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 blah. Now, the second big part that encourages this, whatever it is, I don't know what to describe it as, is the fact that characters have steadily gotten more and more busted as editions have gone on. Like, a 5th edition starting Dungeons and Dragons character is fucking ridiculously powerful.
Yes.
In comparison to other than 4th edition, the characters grew in power in every edition, going backwards. Because like I told you before, a wizard has between 1 and 4 fucking hit points in 2nd edition.
Yeah, I know we never talked about this on the cast, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may have been, but
So
Steve and I had a conversation about how Dungeons and Dragons has become the point where it is impossible. It's almost impossible to kill a character or kill a player character
unless you intentionally do it.
Yeah, you have to like rocks fall kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to intentionally set up a way to kill a character. There's no like there's no actual risk in battle because everything is set up as like, oh, the CR is balanced, so like blah blah blah. So there's no inherent risk to fighting, because if you have a level 1 character, a level 1 any class, literally any fucking class in 5th edition, I don't care what it is, pick a class, a level 1 character of that class will fight a goblin, and there is zero chance that that goblin is going to kill that character. Exactly. I shouldn't say zero chance, but like the odds are so low that that goblin will kill that character. It's laughable. Like it's quite laughable. Now in 2nd edition, I would say that it's probably laughable that a goblin would be able to kill a fighter. Like it's very unlikely that a single goblin will be able to kill a fighter, because a fighter has very good THAC0, a fighter will do good damage, and a fighter has enough hit points to survive even if a goblin gets the drop on him and hits him a couple times. Now, if that fighter was instead a wizard, there's a very good chance the wizard's going to die.
And the wizard did it.
Because if the goblin hits a wizard and he's using like a dagger or a short sword to do d6 damage, the wizard has between 1 and 4 hit points. There's a really good chance the wizard's gonna fucking die. So combat in old editions actually was dangerous for many characters, and it gave characters distinct roles to play in the game that made sense. A role-playing game. So when you played a fighter, yeah, your character wasn't like busted. Like you were never going to be as busted as a fucking wizard could get, like at level 10, but you're still a fighter, which means that you're going to actually get in between the party and enemies. You're going to lead the charge. Like that's the whole idea, like the whole concept behind, the games. You have a party it's not about like, I think the obsession and the change of balance is what really kind of fucked up RPGs. You don't want balance, you want well-rounded.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between balance and well-rounded, because balance is how you get distinct classes where it's like, this is a DPS class, this is a tank class, this is a healer class, where you're basically playing an MMO. And it's just like, oh, your party doesn't have a healer, so you're going to lose because you don't have a healer.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that it's like that's where I think that's why MMOs are as popular as they are now, because there's that level of like we have to play to our balance, and you can and there's a chance of death.
Right, and I mean I don't think there's anything necessarily inherently bad about having a distinct DPS tank healer role, because like I said, the purpose of a fighter is to get in between the enemy and the party, which is, obviously that makes sense, but like the fighter isn't like a magical based tank. He doesn't have like abilities for his class that make it that way. It's literally like you are role playing a tank. So like if you wanted to, since the rules and stuff have kind of like taken away, I think, a lot of, it's not that they've taken away the ability to do it, because you can always do whatever you want. It's an RPG and it's your game. You can do whatever you want. But I feel that it's guided people away from creativity or interesting problem solvings. Because, for example, when I played 2nd edition and I basically did a Conan. Like I was basically Conan. I did my own version of Conan. But my Conan I was not a barbarian. I was a fucking fighter. But like my idea was I was whatever. I played a dude with a fucking 2-handed greatsword, and like I was the tank. I was the one getting in between. I was the one getting in between everyone, keeping everyone safe. That was my character's like heart was like, I wanted to keep, like, my main goal of adventuring was to keep these idiots safe. Like I didn't really care about the money. I was like, I liked my friends and I wanted to keep my friends alive. That was like my character's like core concept. So when we played, there were no fucking rules for me to be like, I force that guy to attack me, or like I generate threat and like smash my thumb down, and then all of these spaces of enemies have to direct their attention to me, because that didn't exist. That's a fucking current mechanic, and that's an MMO mechanic. That's like not a thing that. So how did I get around that? Well, like I made my character talk. So like I would insult the orcs that we were fighting and be like, like issue a challenge, like be like you're gonna attack the fucking wizard, like look at him, he's a bitch, fight me.
Yeah.
Like, so and that was the kind of thing that like, that was how you would do it. You would role play your character, like come up with ideas. And then the other thing about combat being dangerous is that avoiding combat was smart.
Well, just what I see going on with that sort of play today is I generally see, well, when I was growing up, it was always you versus the dungeon master. You're literally playing a game against each other. The dungeon master is supposed to be trying to kill you, but in a narrative way. Like there has to be real danger involved. There has to be a sense that you will fail at your mission, because that's the only way that you can become invested in the story. If you don't have that, it's murder hobos all the way down.
Yes.
And then that shift happened, I believe, in my opinion, around 3.5, where it became much more about this is a game in which the players, the players are playing through, and the dungeon master is just guiding them through the story. The dungeon master isn't actively trying to kill the player; they're actively trying to create a story. Now,
I don't think actively trying to kill is the right. I don't think actively trying to kill is the right thing. I think presenting challenges that can result in their death is the thing, because you're not
trying to kill.
Well, no, because like that, because if you're actively trying to kill the players, you're just going to kill them.
Well, like, I mean,
they can't.
When
fail.
I say actively trying to, and I qualified that, actively trying to kill in a narrative fashion.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, not just being like, you're dead. No,
yeah,
but like
no rocks fall. But there's
a stake up here.
Yeah, but the thing is that 3.5 made it harder for the dungeon master to kill. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be like they wanted the dungeon master to be this person who's just telling the story as the players play through.
Yeah, they wanted to turn the dungeon master into a computer.
Now that's like my problem with, a lot of writing nowadays is like there's two types of TV show that you watch. There's a TV show where you're like, oh shit, my favorite characters are actually in danger and may die, which is why I think Game of Thrones was so popular, because people were not used to that. They weren't used to consequences for the characters they like, because they're used to CW shows where everybody is going to survive to the next episode. If they're the two main brothers, the two brothers on Supernatural will always be there throughout the entire run of the show. And very rarely will that change.
Yes.
So you watch one episode and you're like, oh no, how is Sam and Dean going to get out of this one? They're fighting a demon. This demon looks like he's got the upper hand. And it's like, no, that's never going to happen. They're always going to survive. And now there are certain shows that actually can flip that, like Ash versus the Evil Dead, where you're like, these demons aren't going to kill Ash, but they're going to kill everyone around Ash.
The only person who is safe is Ash.
Is Ash,
which I do like that. I do like that,
and that's a play on that one. But Game of Thrones, on the other hand, introduced people, and there were other shows as well. But I'm going to say Game of Thrones because that's probably the one that most people are familiar with at this point. I could say stuff like Hill Street Blues, but no one's going to remember Hill Street Blues.
Right. I think Sopranos. I think Sopranos had main characters die as well.
Yeah, Sopranos is a good example, but. Yeah, probably Sopranos, Game of Thrones, but I'm just going to talk about Game of Thrones. Is that all of a sudden people who are into fantasy and not necessarily mafia movies, there's some crossover. I'm one of them, but people who like fantasy were exposed to the fact that they're on their favorite TV show. Oh shit, they killed off Sheen Bean. What the hell's happening? Like he shouldn't die. How are they going to save
the main character? They killed the main character.
Yeah, they killed the main character. How are they killing the main character? And then it's like every season it became a thing where people are like, oh boy, how are they going to kill off my favorite character this time?
Yes.
Which became a thing in and of itself. But that's the whole point of like good fiction versus just mediocre fiction. Is good fiction makes it so you feel as if the character that you're inhabiting is actually in danger. And it could actually die from the situation that they are in. That creates tension. that creates that creates a sense of urgency that makes it so much better. Now, on one hand, you can use context clues to go, oh, my character is going to get out of this one because because there's so much left in the book. But a good writer will do that even with knowing that they will survive, create that sense of urgency and danger that they could possibly die, which doesn't exist in D&D nowadays.
And then might also just kill them in the middle of the book anyway, because you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know shit.
But I think that was the other thing too, is it also breeds the murder hobo mindset, where like the players are so used to their characters just being OP as shit.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Every single thing is just like, well, let's just fight it. Like,
yeah.
there is no reason to circumvent this challenge. It's like there's no reason to circumvent this challenge, because if the DM put an enemy in this dungeon that's strong enough to kill us, the DM's an asshole.
Yeah. I like that. I wasn't thinking you were going to go there, but that is probably a lot of D-bag D&D right there.
Yeah, I mean that's
bullshit. Why would you make us go up against this?
Yeah, why would you put something that could kill us in the dungeon? This is stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it completely like reinforces the like kick down the door, kill literally everything. You fucking take the gold, because that's stupid and shitty design, and that's why I know I've talked about Lamentations a lot, but Lamentations has an incredibly old school XP system, which I don't quite like perfectly, but I do like conceptually. So I would probably, in any game that uses XP, I think it's kind of like, it's not 100% better, but what Lamentations does is they do the really old school RP XP style, which is the experience points you gain is equal to the currency value that you get from your quest, not your reward. So this is the key difference. So the way it works is, if you're in a dungeon in Lamentations and you find a quantum gemerald, and the quantum gemerald is worth 5,000 silver, and you take the quantum gemerald, and then you find a magic sword that's worth 6,000 silver, and you escape the dungeon, you succeed, you have the quantum gemerald and the magic sword. So that's, I don't remember the numbers I said, but let's just say 11,000 silver.
Yeah, I was a either.
Yeah, so let's say your total haul was 11,000 silver. That means you got 11,000 XP. You share that amongst the party. So whatever happens to the treasure doesn't matter. It's just, that's the party's XP for those things. And every other party member who got a piece of treasure, same thing. So then you split that 11,000 experience points amongst the party, because that's what you got. Your risk reward was that's treasure. Now, if the king who sent you on this quest gives you a 50,000 silver purse as a reward for completing the quest, that's not XP. It's literally only the monetary value of money you find in during the course of the quest, or treasure you find during the course of the quest, and that's what you get, and it's keep. So there actually are stakes for keeping the silver. So while I don't think that's the best version of XP, I do think that circumvents a lot of the issues of like, I want to kill everything in the dungeon. Because if you think about what I just said, like how XP in Lamentations is structured, the optimal way, like if you wanted to power game Lamentations in terms of like leveling up your character as fast as possible, how do you power game a system like that? Avoid literally every single enemy you possibly can. that would be the way to power game. And if you think about that in that manner, yeah, that makes fucking sense. Fighting is dangerous. Getting stabbed fucking sucks. So yeah, you want to avoid fighting. That's the point. You want to avoid fighting, because fighting is dangerous. It can kill you. So like, I think that setting the XP system in the game like that kind of just like natively encourages that, because I know that like if there's 10 orcs in a room guarding a treasure chest, and the only thing that's going to get me XP is treasure, I don't actually care about killing those orcs. I care about getting that treasure chest and escaping with it. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. The best way to do that might be to go in the room and kill all the orcs. Maybe that might be right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it, like, all coming down to it, what we're recommending is for any DM out there, make it so that the game is an actual challenge for your players. It's going to slow down everything, but you have to create that sense of danger. Otherwise, your team will turn into nothing but murder hobos.
Yes, absolutely. If you want a really quick way to do it, I've got a really simple and quick way to do it for you. You can add this to your Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to add an additional hit point score called Vitality.
Yeah.
And here's how this is going to work. When your character's hit points go to 0, all damage goes to Vitality. When your character's Vitality is 0, they're fucking dead. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second part of this is that if your character takes a critical hit, damage goes directly to Vitality. Vitality is equal to your Constitution. So if you have a Constitution 11, you have 11 Vitality, which means if the ogre critically hits you and does 27 damage, you're fucking dead.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's a quick way you can do it. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, like, I'll definitely give it to my DM that I'm currently playing with, who I'm going to be playing with my half-orc lawyer. That group is composed of it's run by a playwright, and it's composed of people who mostly work. I think there's a stand-up comedian, there's me. I mean, I don't say I'm like as creative anymore, but I do host a comedy podcast that's run for 10 years.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Also, I have an acting experience, an actress.
Weren't you in a Klingon Christmas Carol or whatever?
No, I auditioned for it. That was just for fun, funsies. But yeah, it's like, I think that there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of us in the party, and all 5 of us are involved in like theater and acting and stuff like that. So our games actually do rely heavy on improv and theater-esque stuff, which is fun, but not everybody's like that. Not least. And it could get really obnoxious too, because there's no one worse in the world than theater people.
Yes, this is true.
Except for those guys who always want to see pictures of your bobs and vagine.
Yes, unsolicited dick pics are pretty bad.
Yeah. No, not dick pics. Just this the guys who want to see bobs and vagine.
I see. Although I do have to say, my crowning achievement was a girl said, not here for or here for serious relationships, not here for unsolicited duck pics, because clearly typoed. So obviously I immediately messaged her a bunch of pictures of ducks.
Well, I'm sure everyone did that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. It just, I really enjoyed it.
All right. So let's move on from the D&Ds. I wanted to talk about Games Workshop, actually, because we've bitched about 40K recently, and of course the big release now are more Space Marines, the Black Templars. Woo! No one gives a shit, really. I'm sure they'll sell millions of dollars, but
Blemplars.
However, I did want to talk about the box games that Games Workshop's done lately. A lot of expansions and stuff are coming out, have come out, and I think this is really where Games Workshop's strength has been lately in terms of good games. Aeronautica Imperialis, it's kind of a dumb game, but it's actually really fun. It is one of those games where it's like you can't really have that much of a strategy. You're just pushing around airplanes going meow, meow. So that's kind of fun.
I like it.
Yeah, they have their new expansion just came out today. I'm actually going to go pick up some of the stuff for it, and I'm not picking up the box set, but the box sets are, the new box set's kind of expensive. It's $90, but it's still like $100 cheaper than like how most of their box sets have been lately, most of their starter sets. And I really like the game, and the Eldar stuff looks really cool. I'm not going to be playing them, but I do represent that. And then Adeptus Titanicus, which I really like, which I like to call, if you like BattleTech, want fewer mechs, next to no rules, and giant mechs, this will be the game for you. Because it's literally BattleTech for stupid people, and I'm all about it. Like, because we've talked about BattleTech. Why? Numerous times.
Why?
I mean, it's a fun game, but man, is it grognardy. And it's too complicated, overly complicated. Anyway, for Adeptus Titanicus, they're releasing Traitor Legions now. So you're going to be able to field, demon possessed Titans and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's wonderful. It's just so simplistic that you only need like maybe 5 models max. And you could literally have all sorts of fun and great stuff and do great sort of terrain stuff for it. I couldn't think of the word. You could do all sorts of easy terrain for it. And it's super simple to play. And now you're going to be able to kind of flip it around so you could have the bad guy Titans as well, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And it's like, but this is what I'm talking about. It's like, why can't Games Workshop focus more on these little games and give them kind of I don't want to say like a hard shelf life. Like, we're only going to have this game for 3 years, but kind of just say like, eventually we're getting towards the end here, guys. And then they can discontinue the game and come out with new box games. I don't see that. Like, we've talked about it before the cast about like, when you're creating a minis game, create a minis game that has a shelf life. Like, we're only going to be doing this for 5 years, right? I mean, some people that might turn them off, but other people, like for me, that would be fantastic. Like, all right, I know I'm going to be getting into this game for 5 years. I'm going to be putting in that. And then after that's done, I can still play it, but they're not going to be supporting it. I think that's super cool. I don't know what you would think on that one.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
Yeah. And then finally, this is something that we were talking about off on our text messages is about the new Warhammer Underworlds, which we were shocked that they're actually coming out with. It actually is coming out later on this month, from what I hear.
Yeah, I think that, and I seriously think that idea, the new format, is because of the barrier to entry issue that we've discussed many times.
Yeah, the new expansion is called Harrow Deep. So now this is I want to say I think so. This is year 5. So now they have 3 years worth of cards that are essentially worthless in the game, yeah. which it's still hard for me to wrap my head around. I know you as like a Magic player and a TCG player are kind of like, yeah, exactly. It's rotated out.
That's normal. It's rotated.
It's normal. But the people who are sitting there going, spent, $25 for 8 war bands, so that's $200. Like, but my $200, and you're like, oh, you poor summer child.
Yeah, $200. Oh my God, you spent $200 on product that rotated? Can't believe it.
Wizards of the Coast is like doing that side look, like,
Wizards of the Coast is like, you are like little baby. Watch this. Rotates thousands of dollars of product.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the new format for Harrow Deep is actually, I don't remember what it's called. It's called like a Rivals format, I think is what it's called, Rivals. The Rivals format is basically you only play with the base cards of the system. So like I think it's like some hero pack that they have now. That's kind of like just like your base deck, like of generic cards, and then the cards you get with your warband when you buy it. Mm-hmm. So if you buy the Crimson Court, so you get the vampire cards for the Crimson Court, and you play with just the standard generic cards, which I think is a fantastic way of playing. In all honesty, that's how I would like to play most pickup games. Mm-hmm. Like, I think if I went to a store, that would be the format that I would probably enjoy the most, because you could play against beginners that way, and you could also play as a beginner, and you could also play against veteran players, and you all are kind of on the same level most of the time. Like, if I'm
it makes perfect sense.
If I'm playing like with all of the cards, like seriously tournament wise, I want to play at a tournament, or I want to play like against someone I know can play the game, right? Or someone who wants to play that format. Right. As I've said before, one of the biggest problems with Underworlds is where it's competitive, it's hyper competitive. So yes, you lose a lot of the fun of the game because people are playing like a deck where their characters never move. They stay on their starting spots, and they're literally just flipping cards. And it's like, I didn't come here to flip cards.
They're playing what is optimal to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I didn't come here to play. I came here to flip cards.
I came here to destroy you. I'm going to use whatever methods necessary.
And
My
I'm
favorite
just-
was when I did that with the corn warband. Like people were just like, "Why aren't you charging with your corn guys?" I'm just like, "Why would I charge? That means I would have to roll dice. What are you, an idiot?"
yeah, exactly. It's like I came to roll dice.
Yeah, I did not
You're
come
an
to roll
idiot,
dice. Like,
Joe.
I came to win, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to roll dice.
I'm also very well aware that I'm an idiot when it comes to games like that. I'm like, I just want to roll dice and like, have battles. I want to
Well,
verse.
that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'll roll dice if it's optimal. Like, I would like when I did the orc list. The orcs did occasionally sometimes roll dice because I had gained so much glory by not moving a single model. My fucking orc war boss had like 10 upgrades on it, so anything he touched would die.
Yeah.
So then I wanted to roll dice because then it would just be like, yeah, I need any one of these like 10 dice I get to roll with rerolls to come up as a hammer. And if one comes up with a hammer, I can kill any model in the game. So yeah, at that point, I do want to roll dice.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, come on.
So there's definitely game design issues, and I think that swapping that format to where it's just like you use the warband cards plus you can use the base generics that everyone has is the way. I think that's the way that game will. I think it's the only way that game will survive because we've talked about before, like the barrier to entry is way too high. So suddenly if the barrier to entry is always just the starter box plus whatever warband you happened to personally want, that's a perfect barrier to entry because that means I can go, oh, I really want to play, I don't know, the fucking dwarves. I want to play the fucking fire slayers. So it's like, okay, well, you want to play the fire slayers. Okay, so that means you need to buy the fire slayers. You need to buy all of these other warbands. You need to buy these other starters. You need to track on this, blah, 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 because you have to use this card that's only in the Tzeentch warband deck. You have to use this card, so on and so forth. So changing it to where it's just like, no, you always get your warbands cards, and then you can add the generic from whatever the base set is. That's a very smart and also easy to balance design because they never put like super busted cards in the core sets, and as I've mentioned many times, very frequently the super busted generic cards that are in warband decks are only busted outside of that warband deck.
Yeah, no, and you're right. It goes from having I think I want to say nowadays there's like 10 warbands. You get like 8 warbands a season, whatever. And so it's like, well, what do we say? It was like $200 really is like the barrier is entry right now, or not. It's more than that. It's like $250, I think. So $250 to enter. And then now it goes down to like what, 70, I think the core set's 75 and each warband's like 35. So 115. And that's it. Like, and you could literally just play that for like in perpetuity. Like, that's all it costs.
Yes.
So I think that's cool. And plus, if you could like get into it and you could dip your toe in like, I'm going to buy a couple warbands and say, oh God, I've spent so much money on stuff I'm never going to use.
Right.
Because you're buying like literally like 400 cards and you're using only 10% of them, if that.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But I'm just so burnt out on Stormcast. Well, I'm looking at the box set and I'm just like, ugh, Stormcast again. I know you like Stormcast, but
I do. I really like the new ones. I think the new ones are very cool. I think I would say that I was like somewhat indifferent to the Stormcast overall. I was just like, yeah, they're kind of cool.
Don't fat shame them just because the old ones were chunky. You're fat shaming.
No, because there's been 3 versions of Stormcast so far. There's been the regular Stormcast, the Hammer Shield dudes.
Yeah.
There's been the bird aesthetic ones. I don't know how to. They're the ones that have like the cloaks and then like a lot of the Arthur stuff.
They're the hunters.
Yeah, and then there was the wizard ones with the robes.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah,
but they were all still based off the same chunky model, though.
Yes and no. I mean, there were definitely the ones with the robes look way less chunky than the ones.
Yeah, they gradually slimmed the design down from the original.
But I very much like the look of the new ones with the spears. I really like the I like that they're standing straight up. Because the other Sigmarines, they're a little bit thicker, yes, but like a lot of the reason they look chunkier is because they're all in like somewhat crouched poses, like they're all like knees bent or whatever.
They're
but
all in
these guys
poses.
these guys are standing straight up, but they also have that, like, I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's like the chainmail skirt.
Yeah, just I think that's like a proper term for it.
Yeah, I really like that chainmail skirt aesthetic. Like and the spear, and of course my favorite melee weapon is the spear. So like really cool that they have spearmen. So I'm a huge fan of the current design, and I also like melee armies. So it kind of fit that like the one color scheme I like the most, which is the turquoise guys, are a melee focused Stormcast faction.
But Steve, how can a spear be your favorite weapon when obviously the superior weapon is the naginata?
Naginata's a spear.
No. How dare you? How dare you compare the naginata to a humble spear?
Fucking Naginata is literally a spear.
You, sir, are a gaijin.
That's what I you know what, I am willing to bet that someone unironically has the position you were just making fun of, and it cracks me up because a fucking Naginata is a goddamn spear.
I'm well aware people have that position.
I mean, it's kind of like a halberd is a spear. Like halberd is not technically a spear, but a halberd's a fucking spear.
Yeah. I mean, it's an axe spear, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a it's a spear variant. There's still spears.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm super excited about that. I really like the fucking chariot. I like that there's a melee chariot, which is dope because I am making my plan. So I've decided I figured out exactly how I want to do my Stormcast army, and I don't care that it's not optimal. I'm sure it will be way not optimal, but I don't fucking care because I don't actually give a shit about winning games of Age of Sigmar. I just want to play with my cool dudes and fucking push them around the table. And I want to be completely thematic. So the chamber that I really like, they're Vindictors or Avengers. I don't know. They're the turquoise armor, like they're head to toe turquoise. Very cool looking aesthetic. I really like that color scheme. Hence, it reminds me of the Tomb Kings. But their whole gimmick is that like they're the melee like fucking Stormcast. Like they're like, we're gonna fucking hit you. Like that's their gimmick. So what their ability is that they have in each combat phase you can pick a unit, just whatever. You just pick a unit, and that unit gets exploding sixes for hits.
I thought you hated exploding sixes.
What? No.
You didn't like.
I hated exploding sixes when they didn't have a rule that kept no. So you're remembering
Dystopian
correctly.
Wars. Yeah, Spartan.
You're remembering correctly but incorrectly. Oh no. That's a different exploding six. Sorry. There's different levels of exploding sixes. Sorry. So what I was talking about with Age of Sigmar related, rolling sixes, getting like special things is okay. The thing I hated in Age of Sigmar is that that a bunch of the rules were specifically nerfed. This was specifically Blight Kings, because Blight Kings had a thing where if they roll a 6 to hit, their dice exploded, and your 6 became D6 hits instead. However, they had the old wording of the rule, so if there was anything that gave them a minus to hit, they would never get their exploding sixes. So like a single Night Goblin Netter would completely negate your special rules by just being in base contact with any Blight King, which sucked ass. That's what I didn't like. But that was only because they had the old version, the old wording of the rule, which was later FAQ'd to give them the new wording of the rule. Because the new wording of the rules is just, if you roll a 6, you get over. So, but anyway, so what this rule does is that for the Stormcast, it's if you roll a 6 to hit, you just score 2 hits. Just bam, 2 hits. Like it counts as 2 hits if you get a 6. Anything you want, melee. So, because that's the rule, I am taking every single thing in the army is going to be melee. Like I'm not taking. I don't think I'm going to take any ranged whatsoever. Like it's all, so like I'm taking the chariot, and the chariot has like a giant archer option, but it also has a spear and hammer option. I'm taking the spear and hammer option. All my infantry, they're going to be the spearmen. I'm going to use the fucking fat dudes with the hammer and the shield, like the Terminator guys. And then I'm going to use the Terminator guys with the great swords. No bows, no guns.
No bows, no guns.
No bullets, no guns. The only exception I might do is there's a hero character who's got like a pretty dope bow, but also has a pretty dope sword. So for characters, I might make an exception, and also because there's not really much you can do because characters have whatever gear they have. You can't really pick. You can't really pick.
That doesn't work anymore. All right, so we're over time, I think, at this point. But I did want to talk about one last thing. This is the most important story. This came out as we were after we had recorded last time. This is a game that we haven't talked about on this podcast for a while. This is Flames of War.
That game still exists?
Yes. The big news.
That literally wasn't a dig. Like I thought that game was gone.
The big news is that there's a new expansion coming out for it. It's called Bulge.
That's great. That's fucking great. That's fantastic.
Actually, it's actually called Bulge American.
I mean, I think we can end it there.
In reality, with the people who actually play Flames of War, Bulge is more describing their physique more than any sort of package.
Yes.
I was just like, no one at Warlord just kind of like there was no second thinking on it. Like they didn't pass it off to someone who went, oh, that's a thing. You can't really. But no, it's about the Battle of the Bulge. Like, yeah, we know that's a thing, but that's why we call it the Battle of the Bulge, not just the Bulge.
That's phenomenal.
That's like saying, hey, here's our new expansion, Camel Toe. Camel Toe, Germany. You know, it's like, no, well, we don't talk about privates that way. Like, we don't put it in our game. Like, I don't know if it's a joke or what, but God, naming your expansion Bulge.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I do think that's the perfect place to end the podcast. I agree with you.
I agree.
All right. Go to Planet Arbitrary Facebook page. It's the best way you can get in contact with us. You could also like, comment, subscribe on the YouTubes, like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes. The best way, and you could also follow me on Instagram. I am Game Classy Joe, and Steve is not on social media. Unless you've rescinded your social media.
You can follow me on Twitter at @command_throw.
Oh, you're back on Twitter now.
I am.
Oh, nice. So Steve is back with command_throw. And there you could talk about great 80s horror movies that were remakes of earlier movies, like the 1988 Blob.
Or The Thing.
Or what was the third one we said? Oh, Body Snatchers, the 78
Body Snatchers.
which I don't think is as fun as the 80s movies. That's more of like a legitimate kind of scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or legitimate scary sci-fi movie. The Blob, the Blob is scary, but the Blob is just like silly scary. It's like fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And The Thing, I don't think The Thing is as scary as it maybe used to be, but it's just a really good movie.
Yeah, The Thing is just awesome. I don't think I was ever scared by that movie. I thought it was just really cool.
I mean, like there could be like some people who are like, Thing isn't even scary, man. It's like, oh, it's more of a sci-fi thing.
Yeah. I mean,
it's scary in the same way that Alien is scary. Not Aliens, Alien is scary. Yeah. Like Alien, like you watch it now, you're like, this isn't scary, but you could see how audiences in 1980 would find it scary. They voted for Ronald Reagan because they thought that Russia was going to nuke us.
It's the fear of the unknown concept.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you could talk about that with Steve on Twitter. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. Or you could talk about his taste in Ahegao sweatshirts. Is that how it's pronounced?
Ahegao.
Ahegao.
Not to be confused with ahoge.
Ooh, that's a delicious sandwich, right?
No.
Anyway, yes. You could talk about Ahegao clothing wear with Steve. I'm sure
you could talk to me about VTubers.
Yeah, VTubers. All right. So Steve, until next time.